Life has a way of teaching us lessons whether we're ready for them or not. Some are gentle nudges, others are slow realizations, but a few strike like lightning, sudden, painful, impossible to ignore. These harsh lessons are the ones that carve the deepest marks into us, the ones that change us forever. And though we often wish we could avoid them, the truth is, without them, we would remain blind, stuck in illusions, clinging to comfort while our potential withers away. The harsh lesson that changes your life isn't one you read in a book or hear in passing. It's one that shakes your very sense of reality, forces you to confront truths you'd rather avoid, and leaves you no choice but to evolve. Today, I want to take you into that uncomfortable place where growth is born, where excuses die, and where the path forward becomes painfully clear. Because once you truly absorb this lesson, you'll never see yourself, or your life, the same way again. Let's start with something most people never admit. The life you're living right now is the direct result of every choice you've made up until this moment. It's not the government's fault. It's not the economy's fault. It's not your parents, your boss, your friends, or bad luck. The harsh truth is, you are where you are because of you. The decisions you've taken, the habits you've repeated, the risks you avoided, the opportunities you ignored, the comfort zones you clung to, all of it adds up to this exact reality. And while that realization might sting, it's also the most liberating truth you can ever accept. Because if your choices built this life, then your choices can build a new one. But here, where it gets difficult, most people don't want to face that responsibility. It's easier to blame, to deflect, to pretend that life happens to us instead of through us. But until you stop lying to yourself, nothing changes. The harsh lesson is this: nobody is coming to save you, and nobody is responsible for your future but you. Think about how many people live their lives waiting for the right opportunity, waiting for motivation, waiting for someone to notice them, to help them, to give them a chance. They wait for the new year, the perfect timing, the right mood. And in that waiting, life passes them by. Harsh as it sounds, the people who succeed aren't the ones with the most talent, luck, or intelligence. They're the ones who stopped waiting. They realized that if they didn't take action, nobody else would do it for them. They understood that while others wasted years looking for shortcuts, they could move forward inch by inch, building momentum, until eventually they couldn't be ignored. The difference between a life of mediocrity and a life of fulfillment isn't handed out by fate. It's carved out by relentless action. And that is a bitter pill for many to swallow, because it exposes all the time they've wasted doing nothing. Now let me tell you why this lesson hits so hard. It doesn't just strip away your excuses, it forces you to face your wasted potential. Think about the dreams you once had, the goals you wrote down, the versions of yourself you imagined becoming. Where did they go? Did life really take them from you? Or did you set them aside one small compromise at a time? Did you say, "I'll start tomorrow," too many times until the dream faded? Did you choose comfort when you should have chosen growth? The harsh reality is that every time you ignored that inner voice telling you to rise higher, you were making a trade. You traded your potential for comfort. You traded your growth for ease. You traded your future for the present moment. And you've been paying the price ever since. But here, where the shift happens, once you see that clearly, you can't unsee it. And once you accept that you created this reality, you also accept that you can create a better one. But there's another layer to this lesson, one most people run from. Life doesn't care about your excuses. The world will not pause because you had a rough childhood. It won't give you extra time because you're scared. It won't reward you for trying, only for doing. And that sounds brutal, but it's also fair. Because while excuses keep you chained, the moment you let them go, you're free. Free to take ownership, free to act, free to build. Life is harsh, yes, but it is also indifferent, and that indifference means you have all the power. Nobody's holding you back but you. The clock is ticking for everyone, and the question is not whether life will test you, it's whether you'll rise when it does. Because the harshest lesson of all is that time doesn't wait. Every moment you waste is gone forever, and one day you'll run out. The only question is, will you look back with pride or with regret? This is where the contrast comes in. Most people will hear this truth and feel overwhelmed. They'll say, "It's too late." They'll retreat into denial, convincing themselves that the harshness of life is unfair, that they're victims of circumstance. But a few people, very few, will hear it and feel something ignite inside them. Instead of shame, they'll feel responsibility. Instead of regret, they'll feel urgency. They'll stop asking, "Why me?" and start asking, "What now?" And that shift, small as it seems, is the difference between a life wasted and a life transformed. Because the harsh lesson isn't meant to break you. It's meant to wake you up. It's meant to strip away the lies, the illusions, the excuses until only the truth remains. You are capable of more and you've been holding yourself back. And if you want life to change, you have to change. So ask yourself, what harsh truth have you been avoiding? What have you known deep down but refused to confront? Is it that you're wasting your time on things that don't matter, that you've settled for less than you deserve, that fear has ruled your decisions? Be honest. Brutal honesty is painful, but it's also cleansing, because until you confront the truth, you'll stay stuck in the same patterns. But the moment you face it head on, you open the door to transformation. That's the paradox of harsh lessons. They hurt in the moment, but they heal in the long run. They cut deep, but they cut away the lies. They feel like punishment, but they're actually liberation. And if you let this one sink in, it can be the moment your life pivots forever. This is only the beginning. The harsh lesson is simple. Nobody is coming to save you, and your future depends entirely on you. It's not pleasant, it's not comforting, but it's real. And the sooner you embrace it, the sooner you'll stop waiting, stop blaming, and start building. Because once you accept the responsibility, the power is in your hands. And that realization, though painful, is the first step toward a future you can be proud of. If the harsh truth of responsibility shook you in the first section, then this next one might sting even more. Because here, another lesson that instantly changes your life. Success, growth, and transformation demand pain. Not optional pain, not the kind you can negotiate with, but real, uncomfortable, unavoidable pain. And that's exactly why most people never change. They run from it. They choose comfort, distraction, and the illusion of safety over the discomfort that leads to growth. But here's what they don't realize. Avoiding pain doesn't spare you from suffering. It only trades the pain of discipline for the much heavier pain of regret. One hurts now, the other hurts forever. And when you finally understand that, you'll never look at your choices the same way again. Think about it. Every single breakthrough in your life has been preceded by discomfort. Learning a new skill. You had to endure the clumsiness, the mistakes, the embarrassment of not knowing what you were doing. Building a stronger body. You had to feel the burn in your muscles, the sweat, the fatigue, the soreness. Achieving independence. You had to face uncertainty, risk, and the fear of failure. Yet when you look back at those moments, they were the ones that defined you. The pain didn't destroy you, it transformed you. But the problem is, most people stop there. They hit the wall of discomfort and turn back. They see the first sign of struggle and assume it's a signal to quit. They don't realize the struggle is the path. The harsh lesson here is that life rewards those willing to suffer intentionally, not those who avoid suffering altogether. Here, where contrast framing becomes crystal clear, picture two lives. The first is a person who avoids discomfort at all costs. They stay in their safe job even though it drains them. They avoid working out because it feels unpleasant. They avoid difficult conversations because they fear conflict. Their life looks easy in the moment, but over time it hardens into something unbearable. A body they hate, relationships built on lies, a career that suffocates them, and a deep sense of regret. Now picture the second person. They willingly embrace discomfort. They sweat, they push through rejection, they face criticism, they tackle challenges head-on. Their days are harder, but their life is freer. They look back with pride, not regret. The difference isn't luck, it's willingness. Willingness to face pain now so you don't drown in it later. Let's be brutally honest here. If you're not willing to suffer for what you want, you'll end up suffering for what you don't want. You'll suffer the consequences of inaction, of wasted potential, of time you can never get back. And here's the twist. Life doesn't let you choose whether you suffer, only how you suffer. You can suffer through discipline, through struggle, through facing the truth. Or you can suffer through regret, through self-loathing, through the slow decay of a life half-lived. And once you realize that, the choice becomes obvious. The harsh lesson is not to seek comfort but to seek meaning, and meaning is always on the other side of pain. Now this is where people often misunderstand. They think I'm glorifying suffering for its own sake. But that's not the point. Pain by itself isn't valuable. Pointless suffering is just misery. But purposeful suffering, the kind you choose in pursuit of something greater, that's where transformation lives. When you hit the gym and push past your limits, you're not punishing yourself, you're building strength. When you face rejection while chasing your dream, you're not humiliating yourself, you're forging resilience. When you have the hard conversation with someone you love, you're not destroying the relationship, you're giving it a chance to grow honestly. Purposeful pain is an investment, and it pays dividends that comfort never will. That's the lesson most people miss, and it's why they stay stuck in cycles of meaningless suffering instead of rising into meaningful growth. Let's zoom out for a second. Think about every person you admire, every success story you know. Do you really believe they got there by coasting, by choosing the easy road? No, they walked through fire. They endured nights of doubt, years of work nobody saw, rejection after rejection. They faced pain so heavy most people would have collapsed under it. And yet they kept going. Not because it was easy, but because they understood this principle. Success demands a price, and pain is the currency. The only question is whether you're willing to pay it. And if you're not, then you have no right to envy those who did. Here's another harsh angle to this truth. Nobody escapes it. You might think you're the exception, that you'll find a shortcut, a hack, a way around the pain. But that belief is a lie. Every shortcut comes back to bite you. Cheat your way through school and you'll pay the price in your career. Skip the hard work in your job and you'll pay the price when opportunity passes you by. Avoid conflict in your relationships and you'll pay the price in broken trust and resentment. Avoid discipline in your health and you'll pay the price in disease and weakness. Life always collects its debt. The question isn't whether you'll pay, it's whether you'll pay now or later. Pay now and you grow. Pay later and you suffer. That's the harsh lesson. And once you see it, you can't unsee it. Let me give you a metaphor. Imagine two people standing at the base of a mountain. One chooses the hard path, steep and rocky, exhausting, painful. The other chooses the easy path, flat and smooth, comfortable. At first, the easy path feels better. They laugh, they relax, they enjoy the scenery. The hard path climber is sweating, stumbling, struggling, but fast forward. The easy path doesn't go anywhere, it loops back to where it started. The climber, though exhausted, reaches the peak and sees the world from a perspective the other will never know. That's life. The easy choices give you quick relief but take you nowhere. The hard choices feel brutal but take you somewhere worth going. And until you embrace that, you'll keep walking in circles. The painful irony is that the longer you avoid discomfort, the weaker you become. And the weaker you are, the more painful life feels. Small problems crush you. Minor setbacks feel catastrophic. Every challenge seems impossible. But when you embrace discomfort regularly, you build strength. Suddenly, the things that used to break you barely faze you. Where others crumble, you stand tall. That's the gift hidden inside pain. It forges resilience. And resilience is the single most powerful trait you can carry through life. Without it, every storm destroys you. With it, no storm can stop you. So let's get brutally practical. Look at your life right now. Where have you been avoiding pain? Where have you been choosing comfort over growth? Is it in your body where you've let discipline slide? Is it in your career where you've been coasting instead of pushing? Is it in your relationships where you've been silent instead of honest? Wherever it is, that's the exact area where your growth is waiting. And until you embrace the discomfort, you'll never see the transformation you crave. The harsh truth is that growth doesn't come from wishing, hopping, or even planning. It comes from action, uncomfortable, inconvenient, painful action. And once you internalize that, your entire outlook on life shifts. You stop fearing discomfort and start seeking it. You stop asking, "How can I make this easier?" and start asking, "How can I grow through this?" That's the mindset that separates those who change their lives from those who waste them. And here's the beautiful paradox. Once you stop running from pain and start embracing it, life gets easier. Not because the challenges go away, but because you get stronger. The problems that used to crush you no longer hold power. The fears that once paralyzed you lose their grip. The harsh lesson transforms into empowerment. You realize you don't need life to be easier. You need to be tougher. And that shift alone can change the entire trajectory of your life. By now, you've faced two realities: that you alone are responsible for your life, and that growth requires pain. But here's another harsh lesson, one that instantly separates those who rise from those who fall. Most of the people around you don't actually want you to succeed. This is a bitter truth that nobody likes to acknowledge, because it goes against everything we're taught about friendship, family, and community. We grow up believing the people closest to us will always cheer for us, always want the best for us. But the reality is more complicated. Human nature is driven by ego, fear, and comparison. And when you begin to grow beyond the expectations people have set for you, they won't celebrate you, they'll resist you. Not because they hate you, but because your growth shines a light on their stagnation. Your courage exposes their fear. Your discipline highlights their laziness. And instead of using your progress as inspiration, they'll see it as a threat. This is one of the harshest lessons in life. Success doesn't just demand sacrifices from you, it demands distance from people who can't handle your growth. Think about it. How many times have you shared a dream or goal only to be met with doubt, sarcasm, or outright discouragement? Be realistic. That's too risky. Who do you think you are? These aren't just random words, they're defense mechanisms. When people see you reaching for more, it triggers their insecurities. They project their fears onto you, not because they want to hurt you, but because your ambition reminds them of everything they've been avoiding. And here's the danger. If you listen to them, if you let their voices shape your decisions, you'll sabotage your own growth before it even begins. The harsh lesson is this: not everyone deserves a seat at your table, and not everyone can come with you to the next level. You have to be willing to walk alone. Now, let's frame this with contrast. On one side, there's the person who clings to every relationship, desperate to keep everyone happy. They listen to the doubts, they absorb the negativity, they shrink themselves so others feel comfortable. Their reward: a lifetime of unfulfilled potential. On the other side, there's the person who has the courage to step away, to create distance from voices that drag them down. They understand that love doesn't always mean support, and loyalty doesn't always mean alignment. They choose growth over approval. Their reward: freedom, success, authentic relationships with people who truly want to see them win. The difference between these two paths is brutal but undeniable. One leads to regret, the other to self-respect. It's important to be clear here. I'm not telling you to cut everyone off or to walk through life with arrogance. What I am telling you is this: if you want to change your life, you need to audit the people around you. Ask yourself, do they challenge me or do they chain me? Do they inspire me or do they drain me? Do they push me toward growth or pull me toward comfort? If the answer leans toward the negative, then you have to make a choice. Stay where you are and keep everyone comfortable, or step forward into growth and accept that some people will fall away. It's not easy. It's not pleasant, but it's necessary. And once you accept that necessity, you'll realize something powerful. Solitude is better than toxic company. Walking alone toward your vision is far better than walking with a crowd that wants to keep you small. This lesson is especially harsh because it often shows up where it hurts most: your closest relationships. It might be a friend who constantly dismisses your ideas, a family member who belittles your ambitions, a partner who subtly discourages you from taking risks. These are the people you expect to support you, and when they don't, it cuts deeper than any stranger's criticism ever could. But here's what you need to remember: their reaction says more about them than it does about you. Their resistance is a mirror of their fears, not a reflection of your worth. And if you allow their fears to dictate your actions, you'll end up living their life instead of your own. The harsh lesson here is that loyalty to others cannot come at the expense of betrayal to yourself. Let's take this even further. Imagine two futures. In the first, you choose to shrink. You stay in the comfort zone, you quiet your voice, you downplay your dreams. The people around you are happy because you're not rocking the boat. But deep inside, you feel a constant ache, a gnawing sense that you were meant for more but never had the courage to pursue it. That's a slow death, a life of quiet desperation. Now imagine the second future. You choose courage. You take the risks, you face the criticism, you endure the loneliness. At first it feels unbearable, but over time something shifts. You begin to attract people who resonate with your vision, people who don't just tolerate your growth but celebrate it. You build a circle of strength instead of a crowd of comfort. That's the reward of embracing this harsh truth. You lose the wrong people but gain the right ones. And that shift can change everything. Another layer to this lesson is learning to let go without bitterness. When people fall away, it's tempting to feel anger, resentment, even betrayal. But the truth is, not everyone is meant to stay with you forever. Some people are chapters, not the whole book. Their role in your life may have been real, valuable, even beautiful, but that doesn't mean they belong in the next stage. Accepting this allows you to move forward without carrying unnecessary emotional baggage. The harsh lesson isn't just about who you lose, it's about understanding that loss is part of growth. And when you stop clinging to what no longer serves you, you open space for what does. Let's return to the core idea. Growth demands separation. It demands the courage to say, "This is my path, and if you can't walk with me, I'll walk it alone." That's not cruelty. That's clarity. And clarity is the most compassionate thing you can give yourself. Because the alternative is far worse. Living a life that pleases others while betraying your own potential. And if you think that sacrifice will make them happy, think again. People who want to hold you back will never be satisfied, no matter how small you make yourself. So why sacrifice your dreams for approval that will never truly come? The harsh truth is, you can't please everyone and still grow. You have to choose. And the moment you choose growth, you'll find a strength you never knew you had. This lesson will test you. It will hurt. It will make you question yourself, but it will also free you. Because once you realize that not everyone is meant to understand your journey, you stop seeking validation and start seeking progress. You stop asking for permission and start taking action. And that's the instant shift that changes everything. The people who truly belong in your life will rise with you. The ones who don't will fall away. And though it may feel harsh, it's also liberating. Because in the end, success isn't about how many people clap for you. It's about whether you lived fully, authentically, and unapologetically true to yourself. We all love comfort. There's no denying it. A soft couch, a warm blanket, the security of routine, it feels safe. And that's exactly why most people stay stuck in lives they don't truly want. Comfort feels like a gift, but it's a trap disguised as peace. It lulls you into thinking you're okay, when deep down you know you're capable of far more. The harsh lesson here is that comfort isn't just harmless, it's dangerous. It convinces you to trade your potential for temporary ease. And every day you choose it, the harder it becomes to break free. The people who change their lives are not the ones who always seek comfort. They're the ones who embrace discomfort. They run toward the very things that scare most people away, because they understand discomfort is the birthplace of growth. Think about it. Every powerful transformation you've ever witnessed, someone losing weight, starting a business, learning a skill, or reinventing their life, it always came after a period of discomfort. They pushed through awkwardness, fear, sweat, rejection, and doubt. Meanwhile, the majority chose the couch, the excuse, the delay. That's why so many people die with dreams still trapped inside them. The lesson that instantly changes your life is realizing that comfort is the enemy. You don't need to be fearless, but you must be willing to be uncomfortable. That willingness is the dividing line between mediocrity and greatness. Now here's the contrast that should wake you up. Look at the people who play it safe their entire lives. They follow the rules, never step outside the norm, and avoid risks at all costs. They may look stable on the surface, but deep down, most of them are miserable. Their stability is actually a prison. They traded in freedom, passion, and possibility for predictability. And do you know what the cruel part is? The very safety they cling to is an illusion. That secure job can disappear in a wave of layoffs. That safe relationship can crumble. That comfortable routine can become unbearable. Safety doesn't exist. Everything carries risk. The only question is whether you're risking for something that excites you or something that slowly kills you. On the other side of the spectrum are those who embrace the harsh lesson early. Comfort is overrated. They take the uncomfortable path, starting the business when everyone doubts them, moving to a new city with no guarantee, facing rejection to learn a skill. And while in the moment they suffer, in the long run they win. Why? Because discomfort builds resilience, and resilience builds success. Every challenge you endure prepares you for the next. Each failure strengthens your ability to rise. Over time, what once felt terrifying becomes normal, and your capacity for life expands. That's how ordinary people become extraordinary. Here's the trap most fall into: waiting until life forces discomfort on them. They coast until the universe has no choice but to shake them awake. A health scare, a financial collapse, a relationship falling apart, suddenly they're forced to confront reality. And though it hurts, sometimes that's the only way people change. But you don't have to wait for disaster. You can choose to step into discomfort willingly. That decision alone will put you ahead of 99% of people. The harsh lesson is that life will break you if you refuse to grow, but it will reward you if you seek growth on your own. Think of the greatest athletes, entrepreneurs, creators, and leaders. None of them got where they are by staying comfortable. They woke up early when they wanted to sleep. They kept practicing when nobody was watching. They faced ridicule, doubt, and countless failures, but they understood something most people don't. Suffering is temporary, but regret is permanent. You can either endure the short-term pain of discipline or the lifelong pain of regret. There is no middle ground. And once you see that truth, it changes you instantly. You no longer waste time chasing comfort because you realize it will cost you more than it gives. But here, where people get it wrong, they think discomfort means suffering endlessly with no reward. That's not true. Discomfort isn't about punishing yourself, it's about stretching yourself. It's about choosing challenges that elevate you rather than destroy you. For example, forcing yourself to speak up in a meeting when you're terrified is discomfort, but it builds confidence. Running that extra mile even when your body screams at you is discomfort, but it builds discipline. Starting a project when you feel unready is discomfort, but it builds momentum. These small acts of chosen discomfort create massive change over time, and each time you do it, you prove to yourself that you're stronger than your excuses. So here's the real takeaway. Life is not about avoiding pain. Pain is inevitable. The difference between the strong and the weak is simple. The strong choose their pain while the weak let life choose it for them. When you willingly step into discomfort, you gain power. When you avoid it, you eventually face a different kind of pain: regret, stagnation, and missed opportunity. And that pain is far worse. The harsh lesson that instantly changes your life is realizing you must stop chasing ease and start chasing growth. Growth is always uncomfortable, but it's also always worth it. Pause for a second and imagine yourself 10 years from now. Which version of you will exist? The one who kept playing safe, hiding behind excuses, clinging to comfort? Or the one who embraced discomfort, took risks, and lived fully? The choice is already in your hands today. Every small decision adds up. You don't need to revolutionize your life overnight. All you need is the courage to take one uncomfortable step, then another, then another. Eventually, you'll look back and realize those small steps completely changed your future. That's the power of embracing this harsh truth. And once you internalize it, nothing will ever be the same.